I believe in Jesus, by the way. We'll talk about that.
Oh.
I'm reading Case for Christ by Lee Strobel. It's convincing evidence.
What do you think? I throw people out of the club here? We believe in whatever you want.
I didn't. I went to Catholic school my whole life, but after reading this book, Case for Christ by Lee Strobel, the factual evidence that he existed is kind of overwhelming.
I'd like to see that because the factual evidence that he existed has always been underwhelming. In fact, it's always...
Read Case for Christ.
Yeah, I
Give
will.
it a shot by Lee Strobel.
This is based on what? Archaeological finds?
Archaeological finds.
New ones?
Theological finds. Ivy League.
What are theological finds?
Bill, ready for this?
Yeah.
If I told you, okay, if I told you factual evidence about Alexander the Great, you would believe me.
Okay, but even still, it's a silly point because who cares if Jesus lived? It's whether he's then died and was reborn and is, up in heaven with his Father who's really him.
Okay.
That's the part where the rubber meets the road. Maybe he existed. I agree. That's absolutely possible. He may have existed.
But according to Case for Christ, independent sources who didn't know each other, who wrote about him within 20 years of his death, talked about these miracles happening as in real time.
Okay, well, again...
And Alexander the Great's biographers, the earliest one was like 100 years after he died.
Chris, I'm going to have to burst your bubble now because I have to spit a couple of facts at you that are kind of under... Okay.
It's Hollywood.
There's only two sources in the Bible. Okay. There's the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Okay. There's also another guy, Josephus, who wasn't accepted, but read the Case for Christ.
Not in the Bible.
Okay.
But the Bible is itself an anthology. They found some few decades ago the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were other books that were just basically edited out. So right away we know a person decided what constituted the Bible, and just some stuff wound up on the cutting room floor.
I get it. Council of Nicaea. I get it.
Council of Nicaea, yes.
325 AD. Yes. That's when they decided the Christian religion. I agree with you.
Right.
I'm with you on that.
I remember that.
But I'm telling you, read this book.
That's Emperor Constantine.
Shout out Constantine, Turkey, all that.
Well, the first one...
Constantinople.
The first one to change the Roman Empire to a Christian empire.
They decided all the holidays.
Took 3 centuries.
I get it. And listen, Bill, I'm with you on that.
But here's the important point.
Let's do it.
There's only these 5 sources.
A little bit more tequila, that's it.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
I'm wrecked right now.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Good boys.
Not contemporaries of Jesus, not even close. Matthew, so they lived from 70 to 110 years after him.
I understand.
No, from 40 to 70 years after.
But they got their information from Josephus, who lived about 10 years after Jesus.
So already we're into a game of telephone. Okay.
Bill, yes, but
the other person...
I want to make you let your point, but let me just quickly. The game of telephone, yes, I agree with you that point. But the game of telephone in Jesus' times, according to Lee Strobel in the Case of Christ, was the simple fact of we're playing the game of telephone. There's 10 people here. The game of telephone, as we know it today, is you say something in my ear and then it goes around 10 times, and by the time it gets to you, it's something radically different. This game of telephone, this ancient game of telephone was... But you tell it to me, then the third guy confirms what you said before it goes to the fourth guy. So there's a level of checking, checks and balances.
Chris, you're working too hard. If you want to believe this shit, believe it. You don't have to convince me or...
I'm just convincing you of Case for Christ.
Or construct this scaffolding to which you hang this belief. Just believe it. It's all good.
Okay.
Don't
come to me, and when you die at St. Peter's, I'm not getting you in.
But I can't go there with you. It's just, it's silly.
I'm just saying, it's nice, the idea to believe in something. I'm just trying it on for size.
Here's also what's very interesting. And then I'll leave this subject because, excuse me, I think I've bored the audience with this before, but...
What do you think, Barbara in Milwaukee gives a fuck? They turned this off, when they found out I wasn't Ellen.
Yeah, that's the kind of audience we have.
Your audience is great.
So...
you think they'll like me?
St. Paul.
Good guy, St. Paul, a.k.a. Saul, and the capital of Minnesota.
Is the other source of the Bible.
Yes.
There's Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. I said the 2 names out of order because that's the order in the Bible. The first gospel, Mark, is 70 AD. Jesus dies in 33. So that's 40 years almost after he died.
Okay.
So not contemporaries. Paul comes before the gospel writers. He's writing around the year 50, in the 50s.
Okay.
So he's much closer to Jesus's time. So you'd think he would know more about Jesus than the people who came later, but actually St. Paul knows almost nothing about Jesus. He barely conceives of him as as a person who lived on earth. There's no details about his life like they are in the Gospels. So the people who came later know more than the person who wrote earlier. Just some food for thought.
But, okay, I understand. But he does acknowledge at some point, right? Paul, aka Saul, knows that Jesus existed, right? He talks about him.
He talks about, I'm saying he conceives him as a Godhead. He doesn't have this, it's not the narrative that's in the Gospels of Jesus went around and he did miracles and he did stuff and everybody loved him and he gets quoted a lot. He makes speeches, blessed are the meek. You know, he has adventures. He goes into the desert. It's a whole thing.
But what about...
And then at the end, it's a whole drama with, you know, he's crucified. Oh, no. Paul doesn't know any of this. All the stuff that the gospel writers obsess about and that are his biography. It's a little strange.
But Paul, it's okay for Paul to be somebody who maybe, there was a lot of people who didn't like Jesus.
You know what's okay?
And that's okay.
What's okay is that some people believe and other people don't. That's what's okay. It's like, that's you.
Yeah.
And
I'm not trying to put it on you. I'm just saying what I believe
I
in.
know. And
I'm wearing a corduroy shirt my mother got me for Christmas, and I feel confident.
Is that really? Your mother got you that?
You ever been to Japan?
No.
Should we go?
No.
Why don't you want to go to Japan?
It's too far.
But why not? We'll do a PJ. You'll pay for it.
I don't go east of La Brea.
Really?
Well, come on.
You don't go international?
I do not anymore. I did some internet.
Why, hon?
Because it's just too stressful. I'm a nervous traveler, very nervous traveler.
Right.
So travel has to be made super pampered for me, or else I'm just stay home. You know.
The fact, you know, the thing is about you, Bill, what's overwhelming. No, seriously, from sitting close to you, and I don't know if your fans know this about you, you're a passionate guy. And that's nice about you, dude. It's nice to see real passion from a guy. It really is.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
I disingenuous from a lot of people are disingenuous. You're a genuine, passionate guy, and it's very, I know the streets, you know, growing up in New York, you got to side out the bullshit. You're passionate, man.
Yes. And, you know, when I get head up about something, it's real. I'm not acting it because I think is my bond with the audience. They know I'm never acting or faking it or pulling a punch. And so, you know, if I'm like, you know, it's real because I've certainly seen plenty of hosts like get way too fake worked up about something that, oh, I know you don't really care about it that much. You know, it's just like, and they act like the issue is happening to them personally more than the whole country. It's just gross. And I always, you know, took the advice of, I don't know where I read it when I was a kid thinking about being a comic, of don't leave out the jokes. Always keep in the jokes.
Always.
Because that's the sugar that makes the medicine go down. You know, you don't ever, Lenny Bruce forgot the comedy, you know, it's happened, talk about self-sabotage. Sure. That's a way to do it.
Sure.
Forget the jokes, think you're too important to do that, or, you know.
Yeah, some of my peers I'll see on social media, they'll make a political.
Hey, thanks for watching the clip. Hit the subscribe button now so you never miss out on our Club Random content that's posted daily.